besides Bobby Green and Dan Hooker, who else did Islam Makhachev fight? You know, and you guys talk about like, oh, Charles beat all these guys, but then Islam just came there and muled him. And like, yeah, he did. Islam muled or made Charles Oliveira look like, you know, a piece of cake. But you guys got to understand, Charles Oliveira had a camp prepared for Tony Ferguson, for Dustin Poirier, for Michael Chandler, for Justin Gaethje, and for Islam Makhachev. Like, he got prepped for killers. He had a camp for killers. Like, he's fighting at high stakes every fight. His camp is high stakes every fight. You know, and that's why when you compare Islam and Charles, I'm like, there's just no way. There's just no way. There's just no fucking way. I don't know. I'm telling you guys, I got mixed emotions about Islam Makhachev, and I think that his career has been carefully fixed and put together because of Khabib and because of who Islam knows. Hey guys, welcome to the False Nine Podcast here with episode 142. If you're new here, hi. If you're a fan or you've seen the content, welcome back. It's me, your guy. After this week, I'm gonna call myself like an MMA analyst, journalist, or something, because we doing pretty good on the medias, and it may not be. No, it's all positive because it's doing good. So thank you guys for the love. I really appreciate it. The views, the likes on the YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, Facebook. You know, we're trying to make it through Reddit and Twitter, but that's a little bit more complicated. But I do want to say thank you for that. And, I mean, we're going to keep making the good content, you know. They're getting views and they're getting likes for a good reason. You know, for some reason, the haters just seem a little bit louder. But I think that's normal, you know. But, I mean, we see the like count, we see the view count, we see the watch time count. So that's what matters, and that's what we're going for. So we're doing something right here at the False Nine, or, you know, just me and my amazing support system, which is my girlfriend. So big shout out to her. So we're going to start off something easy, you know, nothing chill. We're not going to get the blood flowing just yet, but we will, trust me. We're going to kind of almost talk about a little bit what we did last week, you know, Charles, Islam, and really just Charles and Islam, because a lot of people had a lot of things to say. But I want to start off by talking about, you know, Amanda retires, and then there's a video out later that comes out, and it's Julianna Pena. She's very upset, not happy at all that Amanda retires, and she's kind of just screaming all this bogus stuff, and it's upsetting to see, because I'm not a fan as much anymore, but I like Julianna Pena because how she beat Amanda and how she wasn't scared, you know, and just being brave. But, you know, seeing that is like, come on, man, you got to respect the GOAT. You got to respect the GOAT. Like, you're not going to get that fight no more. It's over. Just focus on being the champ, because there's a good chance that she will be the champion. Like, you know, she's the only one that took down Amanda Nunes, so she's ideally going to be the champion. If not, she's going to be fighting for the belt next. And I have a feeling that she already knew that Amanda Nunes was going to retire. So, you know, I think she was just there to see it. I think it was all planned out. I think it's all, you know, part of the show. You know, just trying to make some headlines, things like that. So, yeah. But, yeah, like I mentioned, Julianna Pena is probably going to be champion again, to be honest with you. And she needs to stop talking about Amanda Nunes. There's nothing there for her anymore. Amanda Nunes is retired. She's the GOAT. She has a legacy that took her years to build. And, you know, Julianna Pena wants to get at the level. She better get to work now, because I saw her age, and she doesn't have much longer in the UFC just because of age. So she better get to work, you know, if she wants to back up her shit talking. So let's get the blood going now. You know, so last episode on Tuesday, I was talking about how Islam is not that good and how Charles is going to surpass Khabib and Islam, X, Y, and Z, right? So, again, I want to put it out there. I think all the UFC fighters are great. They're amazing. They're fucking professionals. They could beat my ass and all us as fans' ass. They're going to whoop us all. You know, they could all do it. But as a content creator or whatever I want to call myself, like, it's not my duty, but it's entertaining to discuss and to compare and to give analysis and do these things. And that's why I do it, because I like it. I have fun. I like doing it, and I really think I can be good at it. So, and looking at, I was reflecting, because a lot of people were talking about Khabib, and I feel like I wasn't giving Khabib the respect. I was like, Khabib this, Khabib that. And as for the haters, you guys are a little bit right. Khabib didn't lose many rounds. Khabib maybe lost 1 or 2 rounds his whole career. And he dominated everyone he fought in every round. Very, very nasty man, mean man, just ready to fuck shit up. And, and I think in people's eyes, he is the GOAT, or considered a GOAT. And I think he is one of the best of all time. One of the greatest of all time, you could say. And I kind of saw a little bit of him, not too much. But I give Charles all this praise for fighting who he fought and how he's done it. And Khabib has already done that. What Charles is trying to do, Khabib already has done it. And maybe even better, because he didn't lose any rounds. So I will give Khabib that. And I mean, yeah, for right now, I think Khabib is the greatest lightweight of all time. Nobody got near him. Nobody ever really put him in danger. He's been in a few times where it was a little sketch, but he just knew how to always bounce back. So I'm going to leave Khabib alone. I'm going to leave him alone, because he did dominate everybody, and he dominated every round, and he whooped ass. No, there's no question about it. Now, because of all that, Khabib gets a lot of love. Dana White likes him. Pay-per-views. He can bring attention. He's a magnet. He's the GOAT. People are going to look. He's going to bring eyes. And the reason why I'm saying that is because he has his, what do you call it? I don't know. He's like Yoda, and he has his Jedi, which is Islam Makhachev. So we got Islam Makhachev. And now I want to compare Islam Makhachev to Charles Oliveira, because I still believe that even though Islam Makhachev beat Charles Oliveira in the fashion that he did, in my mind and in my fucking head, like, he's just not better than Charles Oliveira. And on top of that, I don't think Islam Makhachev is much better than a lot of the guys in the top 5. Just being real. I don't think Islam Makhachev is at Charles's level. And don't get me wrong, Islam Makhachev is a killer. He made Charles Oliveira look so small. I will admit that. But I think he just got the better of Charles Oliveira. He was just better than Charles Oliveira that night, But when we look at it like, oh, like, Islam is just this, Islam is just that, like, let's slow the fuck down. Like, let's slow the fuck down. And this is why when I put out these videos, I'm like, bro, no, like, you can't disrespect Charles Oliveira like that, And I cleared up Khabib, so I'm going to put his name aside. This is just Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev now. This is the debate. This is the, what, comparing the two guys. And this is what this video is going to be about. So you got Charles Oliveira, who had a very iffy career starting on. And me, I never really seen Charles Oliveira until he fought Ferguson. So, and he was just a guy in the UFC, not really winning, sometimes winnings, back-to-back losses, and he won one. A very inconsistent fighter. He was known to give up. I never seen it, but people talk about it, so if people talk about it, it might be for a reason. And then on the other hand, you have Islam Makhachev, who's always been under Khabib, and he was there when Khabib, defended the belt and became champion. He trained with Khabib and his dad, and always been under Khabib. And the reason why I say that is because Khabib has this leverage now, and I'm sure before as the champion, when he fought Conor and destroyed Conor, and when he beat Dustin, and when he beat Gaethje, when he beat who else did he beat? That was a big name, like towards the end. Gaethje, Gaethje, Poirier, Conor. He beat Conor. That was another big one. Never got to fight Ferguson. Everybody would have loved to see that fight. And you guys can say anything you want, but Khabib and Ferguson, we never know what that fight would have turned out, because Ferguson was in his fucking prime at that time. And I know that Khabib was a different animal and he made people look like shit, but I just feel like Tony Ferguson was ready for that Khabib, and I would have loved to see that version of Ferguson fight Khabib. It just would have been amazing to see. And we never know what the outcome could have been, and I think it could have been one of the biggest threats to Khabib in his career. But Khabib has this dominant fashion, and he retires, and I think he focuses on Islam becoming champion. And I think since he has this leverage, and he trains with people like DC and other people in the UFC that have retired, but kind of pull leverage. And I feel like Islam has a little bit of favoritism, and I think part of the reason why he won in Australia is because of Khabib. Because if it was like Volk, everybody loves Volk. Like everybody loves Volk, and he didn't win that fight. And in a lot of people's eyes, and in my eyes, I watched that fight. I don't think Islam won. I think Volk won, right? But it's just like, how is it that Islam is like, how is he being favorited? And then so, well, I mean, he's under Khabib, and Dana White loves Khabib. He loves Conor, and he loves Jon Jones. Like, he loves those guys, and he's gonna do them good, you know. And I'm not saying that it was Rob. I'm just saying to keep that shit in mind. So, you got Islam Makhachev kind of building a career, but I feel like his career is being built so carefully. It's like a puzzle. They're trying to fix his career a certain way and not let it play out naturally. And what I'm going to get to now is I'm going to read you, the last. I'm going to start in 2018. I'm sorry. Charles Oliveira beat Clay Gudia. Don't know how to say it. Don't fucking come after me. He won that. Charles won Christos Gallegos. Charles Oliveira fight again. Jim Miller. Let's start over. So what I'm going to show you now is like this record, right? We got this record. I'm going to show you Charles Oliveira's record. Then we're going to get to Islam. And I just want you to know the names and the weight that these names bring, And I'm going to start with Charles Oliveira and Jared Gordon. And these are all wins for Charles. Then he goes fighting Kevin Lee. Then he fights Tony Ferguson. Then he fights Michael Chandler. Then he fights Dustin Poirier. Then he fights Justin Gaethje. Then he fights Islam that he lost. Then he fights Beneil Dariush. All right? That's who Charles Oliveira, fought and beaten, except for Islam. Other hand, we have Islam, who, we can start at 2017. He fought Nick Lentz, Gleison Tibau, Kahain Johnson, Arman, I don't even know how to say that last name, Davy Ramos, Drew Dober, Thiago Moises, Dan Hooker, decent guy, Bobby Green, another decent guy. Then he fought Charles, and then he fought Volk. The only guy, he beat Charles, and I don't think he beat Volk. But besides Bobby Green and Dan Hooker, who else did Islam Makhachev fight? And you guys talk about like, oh, Charles beat all these guys, but then Islam just came there and muled him. And like, yeah, he did. Islam muled or made Charles Oliveira look like, a piece of cake. But you guys got to understand, Charles Oliveira had a camp prepared for Tony Ferguson, for Dustin Poirier, for Michael Chandler, for Justin Gaethje, and for Islam Makhachev. Like, he got prepped for killers. He had a camp for killers. Like, that camp, you're going in there and like, and at one point when he became champion, it's like the belt or you lose it. Like, he's fighting at high stakes every fight. His camp is high stakes every fight. And that's why when you compare Islam and Charles, I'm like, there's just no way. There's just no way. There's just no fucking way. Because Islam fought a Dan Hooker who's, he's been irrelevant for a while. Even back then when they fought, he wasn't like a top guy. When he fought Bobby Green wasn't even ranked. And maybe a lot of these guys don't want to fight Islam Makhachev, right? But you cannot take away the fact that Charles Oliveira beat these guys. And he finished them, except for Ferguson. I got that one right now. But he finished everybody. And everybody was talking about Beneil Dariush, this and that. And look how he made Dariush look like a chump. Mad respect for Dariush. But he made him look small, made him look little. Just like what Islam did to Charles. That's what Charles did to Beneil Dariush. But the thing is, guys, like, what I'm trying to say is that Islam, when you fight these guys, like, you're not, what is it called? Like, there's a toll that happens in your body. Like, your body goes through something. That camp, that fight, that war, Like your body just goes through something that you're not supposed to go through that at this time of age. You're not supposed to go to war with other fucking people, you know? And Islam has not gotten to war. The only guy he went to war with was Volk. And Volk made him look fucking small. And Islam walks around like at 180. And I know Volk is a big, sturdy guy, but bro, Islam is a big dude on fight night. Like that, he's a huge guy. Look how small Charles looked against Beneil. Like, you know? And again, like there's just when Islam can demolish or destroy and you know, in that fashion, a Justin Gaethje who throws these crazy leg kicks, who's pretty decent at wrestling. His wrestling defense is pretty good, you know. When you fight an amazing, I mean, the Justin Gaethje's a wild boy with that crazy boxing. When he has to prep for a Dustin Poirier with that amazing boxing, one of the best, you know, and decent jiu-jitsu. I mean, he's a BJJ, you know, he's a black Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, he's decent on the ground. He's really good on the ground. I mean, if we're going off the BJJ, but then you got to prep for a Beneil Dariush. Like, Islam didn't have to go through that. He didn't have to prep for these guys for different styles. He didn't have to face them and fight them and go to war. And maybe Islam would have done the same thing what he did to Charles. Maybe he does do the same thing to all of them. But the fact is that in that training camp, you go through things that we as fans don't see, whether it's injuries or starting, you know, parts of your body they can't move. You know, you're fighting an injury. And you go into the fight slightly injured, and I'm sure every fighter in every fight goes a little bit slightly injured. But every injury is different. You go into that fight different every time. So, like, yeah, I just can't, you know, I can't give it to Islam yet. I can't. And it annoys me now even more that he fought Volkanovski, because there was no reason why he should have fought Volk, in my opinion. Like, I get it. I get what they were trying to promote. I get what they did. But I'm like, bro, Islam, his first ranked guy was Charles Oliveira. I'm going to put it like that. Islam Makhachev fought Charles Oliveira. It was the first ranked guy. And yes, he fucking muled him. But I'm like, how does that guy that fought his first ranked guy opponent, and I mean, he didn't have the belt because, you know, the weight issue, and then he becomes champion, all of a sudden he fighting Volk. You know, and maybe Volk was looking for the fight. I don't blame Volk. Maybe he wants to fight him and he wanted to be a double champ. So it was just a convenience for Islam Makhachev. And I mean, like, how is that I hate to use the word fair, but as a fan, it's just like there's no, like, just because you beat this one guy this one night, like, you're not up here now. Like, yeah, you beat this guy, like, okay, now you got these other guys that you got to beat, you know. And there's a lot of interesting things that can happen in the division with Islam Makhachev. And let's see what's the other thing is that I'm trying to get to. But I mean, the other thing that I want to get to is that we don't know how good Islam is right now. Like, he fought Charles Oliveira. Maybe he caught him good, and the striking was good for Islam Makhachev. I saw the fight again last night. And he did really good. I mean, Islam Makhachev probably... I don't know. The first round was... I don't know. I don't know if he was winning the fight or not, but people could say that he was. But it was a 5-round fight. Even though Charles never goes to 5 rounds, we still don't know, right? Charles, I don't know. We don't know what happened that day, but Islam won, right? But... And then he goes, fights Volk, and then he did not look good against Volk. I'm being real. Like, he just didn't look good against Volkanovski. And it's like Volkanovski, you don't see Volkanovski. You're not going to see him again, you know. And I don't think that fight will ever happen again, if I'm being honest. And now you got Islam calling out Leon Edwards and talking about Jon Jones. And in my head, I'm like, bro, how... Like, I understand, like, Khabib is your guy, right? But how can you come into the UFC and, you know, maybe people don't want to fight you. Maybe that's why you get your title shot and you know, and you win. But I'm like, you got to defend your title, bro. You got to defend your title. And you nearly lost it against Volkanovski. And you would have probably fucked up the whole division. And it's maybe why they give it to you. I don't know. But it's just like you got to focus on your division. And it's just like he's looking past everybody. And it's a little like, I'm like, hey, man, you still got a Charles Oliveira who's hungry here. You still haven't fought a Beneil Dariush. You haven't fought a Dustin Poirier, a Justin Gaethje. And Charles Oliveira fucked this all up because he beat everybody. He made everybody look like nothing. You know, and then Islam comes and he fucks up Charles like that. And it's just like, well, what happens to this division now? I get it. You got to run it back with Islam and Charles Oliveira. You have to run it back just to see what that outcome looks like. And, I mean, if Islam's the better guy, then he's the better guy. It is what it is, you know? I got nothing against him. And, I mean, till he beats the rest of the guys in that division, and, you know, as a fan, I know he doesn't fucking care, but as a fan, that's when I'm going to be like, okay, this guy's good. This guy's really good, you know? And, I mean, the fact that Volk almost had him, I don't know. I'm telling you guys, I got mixed emotions about Islam Makhachev, and I think that his career has been carefully fixed and put together because of Khabib and because of who Islam knows. He trains with fucking DCE all the time. So, yeah, that's that. And, oh, here's another thing. The other thing is, you know, I talk about Charles a lot because of what he has done. And a lot of you guys feel this way towards Khabib when I said that Islam's going to surpass Khabib, which is still very fucking possible. But you guys are like, oh, Khabib dominated everybody. He da-da-da-da. And I'm like, look what Charles has done with everybody. If we remove the Islam fight, look what he has done to everybody and how he has done it. You can't tell me he's right there with Khabib because of how he has beaten everybody and how he has done it. Like, you can't deny that. You know, and yeah, he took a fat loss against Islam, but I'm telling you, this guy's going to bounce back, and we're going to have to give him the respect, and he's going to go, I mean, I think he's already going to the Hall of Fame, but, I mean, if he wins that belt back, I don't know what else he can do to basically stay on top and maybe, just maybe, surpass Khabib, you know? We never know. Charles over here telling Islam to fight him in Brazil, which I don't think is going to happen. I think Charles is trying to bait him, trying to get him to slip up. Because, you know, Islam's being cocky. So I'm like, all right, bro, you talking all that mess. Fight me in Brazil, in my hometown, where Charles is not going to lose in Brazil. I'll tell you that right now. All right, so a little bit to conclude the show. Islam said, why is Jon Jones number one pound for pound? Why is this guy? He fought Serial Gun, da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to tell you why Islam Makhachev. Because, one, he's a fucking beast. And, I mean, I don't know if he's undefeated. I think he's undefeated. He has that no contest or the illegal elbows. And then, because he has Dana White privilege, just like you. Just like you, Islam, but he has a little bit more than you. So that's why he got number one pound for pound and not yourself. And you can't be in that conversation, bro. You just can't. What I mean, look who Jon Jones has fought, you know, and his career, and you're upset why he's number one. Like, come on, bro. And yeah, he just came back out of retirement, but look how he made Serial Gun look like. And I mean, I'm just saying. Ngannou ran away from that. So, you know, will Conor fight this year? That's a good one. I'm gonna just make a clip. I mean, are we going to see Conor McGregor fight this year? I think there's a matter of days or hours till he enters the USADA pool. I think it's like 48 hours from yesterday or today. And I'm being honest with you guys. I don't think we're going to see Conor McGregor in the octagon again. I think he's done. I think he's going to retire. Well, he's retired. I think he's just done. Like he's checked out. Clocked out. He's made his money, and I mean, I think he has achieved what he always dreamed of, and now he has, you know, he just wants to just fucking chill and have a good ass time, you know, and if that's how he wants to go out, that's fine. But let's talk about some little matchups, you know. I don't know what to call this segment, but fantasy matchups. I don't know. So the first one I have here is, how would a Conor and Charles fight turn out? You know, I think just because of the stand-up game, I'm just curious to see what that fight would turns out, you know. And If it's anything like the Dustin Poirier fight with Conor, then I think that I think Charles would win, but it would make a lot of money, a lot of money, a lot of money. And I think both of them would love to have that fight just because of the payday, you know. But they gotta train. They gotta train hard as fuck because they're killers, you know. So, what do you guys think about Volkanovski and Charles Oliveira? That's an interesting fight. I think Yair is a very similar fighter like Charles Oliveira. So how Volk looks against Yair, I think that's what Volk would look like against Charles. And, you know, even backwards, like even, you know, how Yair looks, I think that's how Charles would look against Volkanovski. The last one, just for you guys could leave. And this is for my haters. This is for my haters right here. I'm going to look into the camera and lock in, you know, to all the Islam and Khabib fans out there. If one day Islam Makhachev was to fight Michael Chandler, yes, Michael Chandler, not Chandler, Chandler, I think Michael Chandler takes him. And I'm not trolling. Only reason why is because I think one of the only guys in the UFC in his division to defend the takedowns, those aggressive takedowns, I think it would be Michael Chandler. If I'm keep being honest. You might. We'll see in the comments what you guys think. Peace.